I kind of hate to do this because before I started getting into Warhammer, I found One Mind Syndicate to learn about things regarding this universe. And now everybody needs to throw in their hat for a problem that needs no solving because it was already solved with the release of Age of Darkness. But nevertheless, here we are. One Mind Syndicate video lore accurate ways to bring in female Space Marines to Warhammer 40K. Of course it's gonna be a long one. It's 20 minutes, so let's see if we have the same nothingness as the Templin Institute or not.
What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40K. Recently we've seen the discourse, the topic that has come up in waves over and over again and just doesn't seem to go away, and that's female Space Marines.
Yeah, it doesn't go away because people don't let it stay dead, because we already have an answer to that. No need to bring it up anymore. One interesting point, I like the Aztec style and the way this art here looks like. This chick on the right. It's a good art style, I have to say. Interesting concept, Aztec Marines.
When it comes to this topic, people have very strong opinions. Should it be a thing? Should it not be a thing? It goes against the lore. Well, the lore is always changing and it's ambiguous. And what this does is it leads to a lot of people talking to people. And that's what I've been doing. Over on Twitter.
I mean, what's the point? I mean, it's a useless talk. It's the same way as talking about taxes. Should taxes be 80%? No, not really. The same for this. So should there be female Space Marines? Only in your head if you want to. And that's about it, because Games Workshop already solved that problem. It's a useless talk.
One of our followers, one of our subscribers, Island George, has told me of a way that we could integrate female Space Marines into the lore while staying true and accurate to already established lore.
You can't. There's no way you can. There's no good explanation for that, unless you, of course, call the Sisters of Battle female Space Marines, which, you know what, many Sisters of Battle players will disagree with me on this, but it's kind of getting there. Though the Sisters are cooler in some aspects than the Space Marines. I mean, compared to Primaris, everything's cooler. That's why I'm a first-born kind of guy, not a Primaris kind of guy.
So let's go ahead and dive into this topic. So Island George says that one of the ways that they could integrate female Space Marines is through the use of Erda, the mother of Primarchs.
No. The only good thing that Erebus ever did is relating to Erda. No, we ain't taking that. Scratch that off the book, it's already a bad start.
Now if you guys have no idea who Erda is, I understand. She's a relatively new concept, new idea, new character put into the Horror's Heresies, and she is a perpetual, a scientist, and potentially maybe even a lover to the Emperor of Mankind.
Her existence shouldn't be a thing. But that's what happens when you get to something like the Horror's Heresy. Too many cooks in one kitchen.
They worked alongside each other to create the Primarchs, using the Emperor's genetics and Erda's genetics to create the 20 Primarchs we know. However, throughout the lore and the history of...
That ringing noise on the microphone, it doesn't come from me. I'm away from it. It's from the video.
40K, Erda did not want these Primarchs to be used as tools of conquest and war, so she kind of worked alongside Chaos inadvertently to spread the Primarchs, and obviously they were flung onto the worlds where they kind of were raised.
I see, I'm telling you, Erda shouldn't think this as a concept. If there's one thing they need to retcon as fast as possible, it's her existence.
So yes, she is the reason why they were created, but she's also part of the reason why they were spread apart and tainted by Chaos and whatnot. So perhaps she also tainted either the 2nd or the 11th Primarch to become a female, and as...
No. This argument about the missing Primarchs is one that's been debunked 100,000 times. The missing Primarchs were men. We know this because all of the other Primarchs are men, and because Horus refers to them as brothers. Remember, the Primarchs didn't lose their knowledge about their missing brothers. The Space Marines got brainwashed. That's what happened. And if any of them were, suddenly female Space Marines, you have a problem because we know they've been integrated into the other legions. If I remember correctly, the 11th Legion was integrated into the Ultramarines. People would know the moment this Brotherhood of Men started to have women in them. And even more funny is that they wouldn't be able to connect to a point where this change started. So it's a bad argument. You know what? I used to like One Mind Syndicate. I understand all the hate they get because, it's reading lore and stuff. And I even made fun of them in 40 Facts about the 40K universe or something like that. But this is just a bad argument. On the other hand, not that surprised about it, to be honest.
Such female Space Marines could be produced through the gene seed of said female Primarch. That's also what I have in my fan lore for the second Primarch. She is a female blank, which goes against, she's basically the antithesis to the Emperor, where the Emperor is a male psyker, strongest psyker in the galaxy.
I mean, it's okay if it's your own head canon. Nobody's gonna fight you over that. Butcher your own minis the way you want to. It's your money you're wasting, not mine. But still ain't gonna be a thing.
This second Legion Primarch for my fan lore is a female blank. However, I don't have female Space Marines in my lore. Through a female Primarch creating male Space Marines, it came with a lot of gene seed deficiencies, and that's what I have going in my lore. But going back to George's theory over on Twitter, he continues by saying that if you have Erda, she could mix her flesh with the Big E's flesh to create a gene seed that could be compatible for women's Space Marine.
Except it doesn't work like that. We already have lore on the missing Primarchs. Is that the only argument? Because this thing is 20 minutes long. And as you know, I've turned 13-minute video into a 44-minute video or something like that. How long is this one gonna be? I expect it to have a lot of arguments, bad as they might be. But boy, is it gonna be awful, right?
Not just that, but you could even use Erda's gene seed, mixing it with Living Saints to create some co-combination and also make it friendly.
This still makes no point. By the time of the 40K universe, first of all, I don't think you even know where she is or what happened to her. I don't think anybody in current 40K knows what's her deal at this point. And missing her with Living Saints is a little bit, kind of out there because it's already implied that the Living Saints are these are blessed. No, not blessed. They are sort of like the Emperor's own demons and demon princes. So why would you mix the Living Saints with this? Again, it makes no sense.
So yeah, that is a reason as to how we could implement it. The only thing though is the Emperor didn't create Space Marines. It was Ammar Astartes, and the Emperor did play a part in it, obviously, but Ammar Astartes has a bigger role in creating the Space Marines through the gene seed of the Primarchs. And at that point, Erda was kind of in exile, because obviously the Emperor found out about her flinging the Primarchs across the galaxy.
Look, I don't want to be the one that says it, but that's what happened when you use a woman to do a man's job. She makes a pact with Satan and throws all your children away.
And that led her to a self-imposed exile. He didn't kill her, but she did get exiled. And then later on, she did get kind of messed up by chaos. So if you want the full lore, the full story on Erda, stay till the end of the video where I give you a re-upload of her lore. It's new-ish, like I said. It changes the old lore of the Horus Heresy, but it makes...
So that's what it is? This is 3 minutes of argument and the rest of it is just Erda lore? Really? I thought I was cheap when I was grifting off Warcraft, but I give it to One Mind Syndicate, the kings of this grift. Move aside, Rakiro. These are the real kings.
Sense, in my opinion. Like, it adds more depth to the Primarchs, to the Emperor, and overall to how Chaos played a role with the Primarchs. So I definitely recommend you guys check that out. Again, just stay till the end of the video. But going back to the concept of female Space Marines, Erda would make sense. Why would you integrate a vastly powerful Perpetual into the lore and not continue using her to create more lore in the future of Fort?
Really, let's not bring this character back, okay? Let's just leave it dead. It's already, your theory is kind of bad. Let's not make the 40k universe even worse with her. Please.
40k. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about George's opinions, thoughts.
It's bad, it makes no sense, and it gives more power to a character that really shouldn't exist.
Ideologies, do you think this makes sense? Do you think it's just a way of retconning things? And I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Once again, thank you, Island George, for your input. It was nice talking to you, and I'm just happy we can have this discourse without having it get out of hand, because like I said, people are really passionate about the lore and overall Warhammer 40k, and sometimes changes and ideologies come into that and it just blows things out of proportion.
Like, he's trying to fence it right now. He's trying to be like, let's be neutral, let's take a side. No. Let's be honest with one thing. The people that want female Space Marines aren't the kind of guys that are just done with the concept of just making their own female Space Marines. They want to make it canon so they can ruin another thing. We've seen the ruination of the Rings of Power, we've seen the ruination of Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, and a bunch more to come. Oh yeah, I forgot He-Man. He-Man's one I've seen people have a really touchy spot for because it was bad. No. Let's not give them a chance to do this, because it's a bad idea to let people that don't care about the hobby, that don't love the hobby, to come in and try to ruin it. Again, I made this argument a few times, but of course no moron will ever respond to it, because it kind of destroys their whole point. Why become a football fan if you want the ball to be shaped like a rugby ball? And I'm talking about European football, the real kind of football, not what Americans have. You see? You become a fan of something for what it is. You don't try to change one of its core concepts, one of its core things that it kept constant for years upon years upon years. Sure, there might be somebody that now comes, oh, but the football, it always was, it changed from the pigskin and the colors. No. Okay? Let's be honest with one thing. The football ball, that's a weird way to say it. The ball was always the same way. Space Marines have been male only since like 36 years ago, and Games Workshop is still keeping this constant. Now ask yourself the following thing, and this is one thing one of my newer subscribers brought up, and I'm happy he did, because this is an aspect that never really gets touched upon when it comes to these people and what they want, especially with female Space Marines, is the ruination of brotherhood. Think of it like this. The whole Horus Heresy and the big part of the Space Marines lore is the relationship between brother and father and son. You introduce a woman in that relationship, it changes completely. The dynamic moves into a different way. And you kind of, by bringing up female Space Marines and crying about it to be canon, you're not only changing years upon years of lore, you're destroying the dynamic of the story itself. And even worse, you're proving your POS because you want to ruin something that's for men only. Hear me out. Let's look at Warhammer 40K. There are only, 3 factions that are gender locked specifically. The Space Marines that everybody cries about, and the Sisters of Silence and Sisters of Battle. I think that's a pretty good representation when you got 2 of those. But going back to that point, it's a ruination or people trying to ruin the relationship between two men, the brotherhood that can result in and that can create, basically destroying the whole story as it is for them. You understand why it can't work? Anyway, let's continue with the video.
So it was nice talking to you in a civilized way, to put it simply. So again, guys, let me know your thoughts down below, and enjoy the rest of this video, which is lore on Erda.
Okay, so it was only 5 minutes, thank God. It was only 5 minutes. The rest is just Erda lore, which I don't think anybody needs to hear or listen to. God forbid. Anyway. Yeah, the argument is bad, not only because it brings Erda back into play, which she really shouldn't be a thing. She should get retconned out of it as soon as possible. But nevertheless, it's still a bad one because we already know information about the missing Primarchs. Is the ruination of brotherhood. I'm sorry, that concept still keeps with me and it still touches me in a way, because in a world where young men are kind of messed up by society and the standards that are imposed, that the evolution of things have, gotten to this point, the Space Marines offer brotherhood where there is basically none. I think that's an interesting concept. Now that I think about the whole story dynamic is really good with the Space Marines, with brother and with the relationship between brothers and a son and his father. It's a really good one, and I don't know why it marks me here, and I'm not sure I'm ever going to delete this. I think this will just be posted. But I like it. I like the idea of a brotherhood, And people that come and want to ruin that brotherhood never want to ruin a sisterhood. Some cry that, the Misters of Battle are such a stupid gotcha. No, it is a gotcha to prove they have at least a spine, that you at least care about something. They have values and beliefs, but you have none, because you don't care about that. You would ask for male representation in the two locked, women factions, but you only ask about female representation in the only male faction. Likewise, I never see them cry about the Fire Slayers not having female models in them. Well, that's all. I'm not gonna waste the other 15 minutes with Erda lore. Screw that. What can I say? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.